welcome to STEM Up. In our last class, we talked about Bohr atomic model, and today we're gonna learn about where those electrons move around. Except in Bohr atomic model, we learn about that electrons move around somewhere in the around the nucleus in a place where they can easily move around. So he did not talk about where they actually is, the shape is round or is it spherical or something. So in real life, atoms is not, those electron doesn't move like that. It moves around some lines. So where they move around the space around the nucleus, where those electrons situated, where they move around, those electron move around in a place, and that place is called orbital. So here is a shape of orbital where the electron move either. It's like a spherical shape. Here is the electron. This electron exactly move around those lines, and if they move around those lines easily because electron doesn't like a complicated management. So whenever if it is left or right or up and down, it always stay in the same line. Those lines never change. So since this is the way electron moves, so here no conjunction happened. So in case of shape, orbital have three kind of shape: S, P, D. In S, we can have two electron. We can call it 1s, or even in further needed, so we're gonna have some box. It depends on the number of the electron present, 1s, 2s. Then after that we're gonna have 2p. That's gonna happen. So here it has p, which has two electron. We have three box here, which is known as 2px, 2py, and 2pz. It's just like those graph where we have those lines. Here we have x line, here y and z. Those are the lines where those electrons move. So here in 2px we got two electrons, in 2py we got two electrons, and 2pz we got two electrons, and those electrons gonna move in opposite direction. So in the last shape of orbital, we have five box here, which is consist of x, y, z. Actually x, y, z, but it gonna go in that way, in those straight way. We're gonna first have x, y, dxy, which have two electron. Then have y, z, which have two electron. Then that z gonna combine with x, that we have xz, which have also two electrons. So here we have dx square minus y square. Here the minus gonna change the shape, which gonna we see later. So it has also two electron, and that z square, which have also two electron, and that z square doesn't contain x and y, or even x square minus y square. So it gonna have a change of the shape. It gonna have some donut things here, so which also we gonna see later. So originally in Bohr atomic model, we saw that those electron here just move on a shape like in a straight line, is in a straight circle line. We don't know actually is this the real shape according to his model, but in reality we're gonna see some this type of spherical places where those electron gonna move eventually, and those numbers gonna increase according to their electron number. It gonna have some different shape. And next we're gonna talk about those S shape earlier separately, SPD. So here it is in here. So we're gonna next talk about S. In S shape, the electron shape changes in that way. X, which is consisted of two electrons, so it gonna have x and y. We have z here, so we don't gonna as that we don't have any another box, we gonna have that z here, not around here. So we also all gonna have x and y. In those x, they are gonna have one lobe, and here gonna have two lobe. It's just the initial steps we're gonna learn. So in case of z, when we got have another box, so we're gonna have that z line, So we're gonna get another box, another dumbbell here. So it's gonna have this shape, and in case of Z square, we're gonna have some donut here. That topics we're gonna learn in the next point. Now we're gonna talk about those shape individually. Firstly, we're gonna learn about the S shape, which is consist of 2 electron known as 1 S square, and gradually the number will be increased. So what is the shape of the S shape? The shape is known as spherical shape, almost round. So in that round shape, we're gonna have 2 electron at there. So when those electron gradually increase, like the orbital increase, so the size of the orbital also increase. Like here we can see the green line here, the green spherical shape is smaller than that the blue spherical shape, as the number here is 2s square. And here in case of this red shape here, which is known as 3s square, which is also bigger than the 2s square. So every step when the number increase here, the number and number, the shape of the orbital gradually increase, and also every orbital here consists of 2 electrons in case of S. So with every number, here the graph, with every number increase the orbital shape increase, and it will gradually grow upper and upper. That will be the case of this graph. So in case of the overall situation, the shape of the orbital, we need to know those main points. The shape of the orbital is spherical, just like the football you play in the playground, and it consists of 2 electron, and those orbital gonna increase with the number every time, and that's for the S shape. Thank you. Learn about the D orbital shape, which is actually look like the dumbbell you use in the gym or for your exercise, and it consists that P orbital consists of 2px, 2py and 2pz, and every box consists of 2 electron in that case. In the last S orbital we got to see just 1 box. Here in that case we have 3 boxes, and every box consists of 2 electron, and those electrons are in opposite direction. So in case of 2px, we have the picture here. 2px, as it is x oriented, x square, so we're gonna have the lobe in the x axis. Here is the y axis and here is the x axis. As it say 2px square, so we're gonna have the lobe here in the dumbbell, here in the x axis. Or in case of here in 2py, which is said y, so it gonna be y oriented in the y axis. And in case of 2pz, it gonna be z oriented in that axis. Here you can see that it looks like you are spreading your hands, and in that side. In case of 2px square, or in y oriented 2py square, you can remember it by thinking that it going up. So that shape gonna be like that. As you can see, it's going up. And in z square, 2pz, in that case the shape looks like it is coming towards you, and that is 2pz square. And we always need to remember, those electron does not just sit here, it moves around those loop in all the time. So that's for p orbital. We're gonna use those knowledge about s and p orbital and solve a problem here. So here we have neon, which consists of 10 electrons. So as it consists of 10 electrons, so we're gonna think normally just how we solve our orbital, how we situated our electron. So in first layer we're gonna have 2. So here we're gonna move those electron firstly like that. Then we're gonna move which is the number here is 10. So how many there? 2 and 4, 6. So we need to put more 4 electrons here. So we're gonna put there here. So this is the normal shape, and here we're gonna see that those electron in 1s, we have 2 electron. In 2s we have 2 electrons, and in 2p we have 3 box, which is consist of 2p x square, y square, z square, which we learned previously. So in case how we show that in orbital those number. So here, so previously we learned that 1s square shape, that shape, round shape, gonna be bigger in case of 2s square. So we have 1s here and 2s. So here is the first 1s square orbital. So here this green shape you are seeing here, it is 2s square. So here the dumbbell here, which consists of 2p, which you learned previously, the p is consist of dumbbell shape. So here we have 3 dumbbell. In x cases, so 2p x square, we have that dumbbell shape. This is 2p x square. So here we learned that in the middle that z square, z axis. So we have, in case of z, we have z square, 2p z square. In z axis, that is 2p z square. And here in y axis we have 2p y square, which is where there we see a dumbbell, which is 2p y square. In next we gonna learn about the d orbital shape. Okay. Lastly, we gonna learn about d orbital for this orbital class. So for this d orbital, we gotta have dumbbell shape. In p, what we learn, we have dumbbell shape, but in case of p orbital, in case of d orbital, we have double dumbbell. So here the electron distribution, we have 5 box, which the electrons are in opposite direction. We have dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. So because all of those have different shape, for dxy we gonna have this shape here in between. Y, we have a shape, dumbbell here, and that corner have dumbbell, and that corner and that corner. In case of dxy and dyz and dzx, we kinda have similar shape, but in case of dx square minus y square, we had the change of shape comes. So in that case, we all have the x and y. In the middle we got this shape. In that case, here x prime, y prime. So in that case, we have got the middle the dumbbell. Here we also got the dumbbell in the middle. But in case of dx square minus y square, we got something different. Here y axis, x axis. So why it have the different shape? You just need to know that minus is causing the issue. So here in the y axis we got a dumbbell, in the x axis we got another dumbbell, and that happened because of this minus. And lastly, in dz square we don't have an x or y here, we just have z square. So here the difference is that in the middle we got a donut, and there we have got 2 balloon. In the y axis we got a balloon, and in the y prime axis we got a balloon, and that's the shape for the dz square. If you just know the shape of dxy, you can easily draw for the shape of dxy, dyz and dzx. The difference is there dx square minus y square and dz square have the different shape. And that's all for orbital class. Thank you today.